Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the public forum. I understand there are two people who wish to address the council, Miss Belfield and Miss Robinson from the Bundanoon Community Garden, the first, and Mr. Lee from Lee Environmental Planning about planning proposal for Railway Road, Balmoral. If you want to come forward first, ladies, or? No, just come over, feel relaxed.
Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Belfield. I'm the current president of Bundanoon Community Garden, and this is Yvonne, the secretary. And I just wanted to quickly start with how we exist at the moment. So we've never had a public space in Bundanoon for our garden, and we currently garden at other people's gardens, so in private gardens. And it goes quite well, but it's not a very good long-term plan for us, and so we've been trying to get a public space in Bundanoon for a while. We hope that having a public space will be a lot more accessible to the whole of the community, and that we can sort of invite people just in a lot easier manner than we currently have to now, because the restrictions of being in a private garden is quite challenging. So the concept of the community garden is based on a collective effort where the group garden together rather than having their own plot. So it's not an allotment that we're looking for, it's actually a traditional community garden. We've been taking a lot of calls from people recently wanting to join the community garden and wanting to be part of it, and a lot of these people come from Sydney, have moved here recently, and so, you know, they maybe haven't got much experience with gardening, and so it's not as easy to just say, oh, you can garden in your own home. You know, people come to a community garden to learn from other people and to sort of share knowledge and get local advice about how to grow and what to grow. So we feel it's really imperative that we establish the site in Bundanoon so that it is accessible and welcome to everyone in Bundanoon community and beyond, and anybody that wants to be involved. Just bear with me. Another example, because some of the negative comments that we read was around people just being able to do this in their own homes, and we feel like in Bundanoon there's a lot of very small people that live in areas with no garden or next to no garden, and that you know, it's all about the community, and I feel that some of the negative comments kind of miss the point of the community garden. We're not a private organisation, it's very much about sharing knowledge and sort of being together. So some examples of like an elderly person that's maybe lost their partner, that's coming just as much for the companionship as for, you know, learning how to garden, or they might be sharing their knowledge with younger people. Or myself, as an example, 3 years ago I did not know how to garden at all, and there's no way I could impart the knowledge to my children how to garden because I didn't have the knowledge, and there's some things that you just can't Google. So everything that I've learned in the last 3 years I would not have been able to do without the help from the community. So we do appreciate that some of the negatives have legitimate concerns, but we just think they've lost sight of the idea of community and the prospect that we also want to work with the public school, the preschool, Quest for Life, and anyone else that's interested. And we feel like it's imperative that we keep people informed of our plans and involve people from the ground up to encourage ownership of the initiative. And that's really important because we've had a lot of new members inquire recently. The fenced off area, which is on the map, which a few people made some comments about, it's not a fence to keep people out, it's not going to be locked, it's purely a small area that will be fenced to keep wildlife out. And I think we all agree that the site would be made to look as attractive as possible without necessarily a manicured approach. So our aim is to encourage and inspire people to either start gardening or continue with gardening, and to create a community of gardeners. And the walkway, the area that we're looking at, is mostly used as a shortcut, and there's a sort of quite well-worn path. And I think a few people were concerned on the map that that was going to be the community garden, but that walkway is obviously to be maintained. And we actually went there recently, and the area was quite flooded and quite inaccessible to dog walkers and people wanting to use that shortcut. So we felt that with the works that we plan to do with drainage, that if anything we would be able to improve that area. but it certainly wouldn't impinge on the shortcut route that some people had a concern about. And yeah, so we just hope that you can consider this, and if anybody that has contacted you negatively, we're very much open to talk to them and have a constructive conversation with them about their concerns.
Are you happy with the officer's recommendation?
What was the officer's recommendation?
On the business papers. Have you seen that?
Yvonne? Was it like a, sorry. What?
To enter into, to put a 5-year license agreement on public exhibition for comment, so to proceed.
Yep, okay. Yeah, sorry, I didn't read that bit. It was a bit hard to find out where all the information is. I'm a little bit new to this, but yeah. Yep, okay.
Basically, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I'm hopeful that as we develop a new council for the community, and I'm pleased to hear you say your organisation is all about community, we're going to make this council all about community as well.
Yep.
But there is a shortcoming in that, you should have been advised this is on the business paper and the recommendations,
Yep.
and pointed to that, and that will evolve. It's a work in progress. So, I'm happy with that recommendation too, but you have to wait for the council meeting.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question from left field?
Yep.
An organisation such as yours, would you be interested if the council provided some assistance by way of training for community organisation in understanding the rules associated with incorporated organisation and conflicts and this type of thing?
You mean to the...
For all organisations, whether if the council was to organise some sessions for interested groups to come.
Yeah,
and,
for sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some organisations are asking us, because now the council's having a greater focus on, what is a conflict,
Yep.
and, different probity and governance issues. They're asking us, well, we need a bit of help if this is going to come into play. So you'd be interested if the council was to do something for free like that?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
great. Okay, thanks very much.
No worries, thank you.
It won't be long as a big council meeting, but you're pretty early.
Yeah, no.
Thanks. Mr. Lee.
There we go. Okay, thanks very much for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. To speak briefly in relation to a report arising from the planning panel meeting of last week. It's the planning proposal at Railway Parade, Balmoral. I believe that's item L5 on the supplementary agenda this afternoon. I'm speaking on behalf of the landowners and the proponents, Life Eternal Trust, and Chris Kirrick, who is with me this afternoon, is one of those board members. The trust has been occupied on the site, been part of the Balmoral community for about 25 years now. My request is, in relation to this matter, is that the council, in this case, put aside the advice offered by the local planning panel last week to reject the planning proposal outright. Instead, I believe that the more appropriate decision is to confirm the recommendation that was put forward by council's planning staff in the report to the panel last week, to allow the proponent the opportunity to provide additional information that was requested, and allow that to come forward before a final decision on the planning proposal is made. The proponents met with council a year ago about this matter, and it was agreed that bushfire would be a critical consideration. We acknowledged that, and the planning proposal was supported by a detailed bushfire assessment report, along with an ecological report and an on-site wastewater report, and the planning proposal report itself, all designed to illustrate the capacity of the site to accommodate the proposed school that the trust have in mind. The planning proposal process is in fact designed to allow an applicant to provide information to justify the proposition that they are putting forward. So my question is, why deny them the opportunity to do so? I'd like to make some comments in relation to the panel advice, because we believe that in simple terms, the 4 points put forward by the panel equate to just premature conclusions. In fact, they read like determinations of a development application where the conclusion's been reached on the basis of all available information being in front of the determining authority. But in this case, all information has not yet been made available, so I need to question those conclusions. The panel had 4 points. First, the site's not considered suitable as it does not have capacity due to environmental factors to absorb the applicant's vision. The point of the request from the Rural Fire Service, and hence the council staff recommendation, is to demonstrate the site's capacity, including its capacity to accommodate the necessary bushfire controls, ecology, wastewater and other matters. Key to this issue is the number of students on the site, and the proponent is willing to accept a cap on that number. That was discussed with the panel. Second point the panel raised was Balmoral Village is inappropriate location for the proposal given bushfire history and the village nature of the area. Again, the issue of bushfire was always acknowledged as a key consideration, and the responsible authority, the RFS, have not dismissed the planning proposal. They simply requested more information, and we'd like to give them that information. So I'm not sure the panel can substantiate that claim that it's an inappropriate location. I'd also point out that there are numerous villages across the Shire with schools as integral components of them. So I'm not convinced that a school is contrary to the character of a village. In fact, in many cases it can enhance that character. The third point the panel raised was there is inadequate infrastructure to support the proposal, in particular the local road network. Well, one of the specific requirements of the RFS request for additional information goes directly to that point, a more detailed analysis of access into and out of the site using the local road system. We can provide that information if we're allowed to do so. The fourth and final point from the panel was that the proposal is not considered consistent with the E3 environmental management zone. The site is within the E3 zone, it's a fact, but it has the same characteristics of the other properties within the village area that are in various other zones, including the residential zone and the RU4 small or primary production small lot zones. It's not detached from the village, it's on the edge of the village, and it is part of the village. It's not separate to. The site's substantially modified already and accommodates an existing community-based use with significant buildings that has been in place for 25 years. This is why the site can be considered suitable, pending the submission of the information that's been requested. The information we can provide will allow an informed decision on whether or not the planning proposal proceeds. We seek that opportunity, and that was in fact the council staff's recommendation. Provide the information, report back, and then make a determination. In conclusion, I also note that the provisions of the EP&A Act allow for a DA to come forward that is contingent upon a planning proposal or amendment to an LEP. And this in fact might be a case where that provision or those provisions in that process may be the most appropriate. The proponent is more than willing to provide a development application with the full range of information that you'd expect to see, to allow both processes of the planning proposal and a development application to run concurrently. And that would be the true test of the site's capacity and the suitability for the proposal. So, in conclusion, I'm just asking that the council on this occasion stick with the recommendation of its planning staff that was made to the panel, rather than the panel's advice, which was to halt the planning proposal now. Thank you.
I'm not going to question the competence of the panel. So I've got some questions about this matter though for the council, for the officers. But so thanks for that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, the council will commence at 3:30. Thank you.